Wow. Yeah. Here we are. It seems. Oh man. Uh, we find ourselves here somehow. So yeah. Hello, hello. Welcome. Um, I hope everyone is doing fine. Here we are after like 3 days of not even streaming. What a pain it is to not have a voice, man. Oh. Oh, how does it go? Oh, the misery. Anyways, yeah. Hello, hello, hello. Um, it has been quite a long time since the last occasion, and it has been certainly quite some useful time, as always, I think, for everything to keep developing, for me to think a little bit more and such. So yeah, welcome everybody. I think we are ready to do a little bit of talking and a little bit of being here. I had been wanting to do so since like I don't know. I wanted to do the stream itself. This when was it? This Friday, I think it was, or was it the Thursday? I don't remember at this point. But yeah, I wanted to do that, and in reality, I I fucking died in the middle. So yeah, here we are. Now we are going to try and compensate with that. Also, hello, John. I hope you're doing well, my man. But yeah, after after taking a sort of break, we we get to be back here and we get to enjoy continuing with whatever it is that we do here. I mean, yeah, as always, doing doing something, I guess. But yeah, oh yeah, thank you, John. I really wanted to come back, even if it wasn't really that long of a break. I wanted to continue because even more, I guess that's what they will call timing, you know? I wanted to continue and I I had literally almost a golden opportunity to properly keep streaming. And what happened was because I lost my voice, I didn't have the possibility of doing anything in all of the free time that I had. And that was amazing. That was incredibly amazing. But yeah, I can see how it becomes a little bit emptier. I believe it also is empty for me when I don't get to enjoy doing one of those things that I have come to love so much. But oh yeah, I I don't know. I think I want to talk, man. I want to keep talking. I wanted to talk. I have come to quite enjoy the act itself of talking. I have I have developed, let's say, a passion for talking, and I see it as good. I believe my throat healed properly to endure streaming, at the very least, for quite some time. And I don't know. I don't think it is that problematic, but we will see how it really goes. I believe, and I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, yeah. Mm, kind of. The reality is, it wasn't that strong because it literally got burned with one fucking mate, and it said, "Oh no, you know what? This was too hot for me. I need like a whole week of recovery," and that shit took me out incredibly well. Um, how many hours? Besides here, I think I have. I don't really measure anything like that, but probably if I had to guess from the top of my head, besides here, like 50 hours or so of talking overall on this year, I think so. Besides here, um, how? Eh, how did I get them? Okay, okay. You don't worry, don't worry. I can tell you. I can tell you. You have to use. Let me see. I have the 70. It is incredibly short. So that's why I can tell you without any problem. You use this thing, that you use that, and you also use the extension, and you can see them on your own screen, and also you set them up so that you add all the emotes that you want, and it's quite easy and it's quite nice, I believe. So yeah, um, that's my response to your question. And one of your questions, the other one was, I was really, I don't really talk that much, so I think around 50 hours or so throughout this whole year. I Yeah, I don't really have that much to say, person, but here, probably we have already done like 300 hours of streaming. I think so. I would like to check. I will probably have to go to analytics and all of that to see the stat itself to correctly tell you how much in complete, what is it, accuracy, but around that much is how much I have really talked, taking into account the numbers from being here. If it isn't with those numbers, I haven't really talked that all that long or anything of that sort. I mean, it isn't really necessary for me to talk that much, so I don't have anything to complain about. I don't I don't really see something worth complaining, even, I believe. But yeah, yeah. Let me let me see. 1st of January. And what are we on? What are we on? 19th. Okay. 19th of May. Time streamed. 200 hours. I haven't streamed that much. I have failed. I have probably failed. Oh man. I no. But yeah, I guess that's quite the consequence of having other responsibilities to deal with, and also not not committing that much, I guess. But yeah, 200 plus 50 other hours, 250 in total, I guess. But I don't know. I quite enjoy talking when I can. So at the very least, those through 250 hours have been well spent, I will say. And just because of that, I'm already happy. I don't know. I don't know. I think it is all good with stats. But yeah, that's basically the average. I think so. And yeah, um, besides that, I guess I was, I don't know. I have a lot of things on my mind. I have been enjoying, um, taking some time and thinking for myself, and it has become quite a joyous thing to do in my completely freedom based reality, let's say, um, to spend as much as I can on those activities which I sometimes used to avoid. I guess it happens that as a person, when you can become aware of what you are needing, and even more, when you can properly learn and see what is it that you are lacking and accept that it might be complicated to even try to go for anything of that such a thing. It ends up being rather complicated. Um, but the reality is, once you get to accept that you are looking for something or that you are in need of a certain thing, and you can even more order yourself for the sake of getting to obtain those things, it becomes a rather amazing journey to finally take the adventure that is presented to you and take the this cool journey that is to try and discover how much you can really get, not just get, rather, how much you can really advance towards your goals. In such moments, it is that you end up really being in the moment because the, the chaos itself, born from trying to go and trying to deal with all of those, yeah, all of those things that you might never really fully expect, because reality is always a little bit more surprising than what you can ever predict. Um, all of those things end up catching you off guard, and you end up seeing that even if there are always problems present, you can get to deal and you can get to acquire so many more than what you could have sometimes even predicted, that reality in these cases ends up becoming quite enjoyable. And in my case, that's what I was trying to say. In my case, it has happened so far that it has been a great adventure, I guess. I don't know, I think I always go back to this whole idea of trying to see the world as a video game or something like that, mostly out of habits, and let's say this particular mechanic of learning why the world can be more entertaining than what you could have ever expected ends up giving you a chance at progressing and a chance at not being so surrounded of all the problems that do exist on life and that also obviously do affect your own existence. And I I believe so far, even if we haven't gotten the chance to do as many things as we would have wanted, or even if we haven't gotten the chance of leaving some problems behind, I yeah, I understand your point, but at the same time, let me try to say it like this. You can find reasons sufficiently good enough so that you can break out of those damaging habits. And the problem is sometimes you don't really get to notice which habits are affecting you so heavily and which habits are damaging you so much. But what lacks there, I believe, is the introspection born out of stopping and observing where is it that you are really standing and what is really going on in your life. Because what happens to you is almost always something that you know about. Very, very few are the people, I believe, that live in a world in which they know nothing about. So, if you were to be a little bit more honest with yourself and accept which things are happening, and if you were even more to find proper reasons towards leaving those dangerously negative things behind, you can overcome them. But the problem is always, it sounds, I mean, all of this is simply words trying to paint a picture of something that, when you go into the moment itself, is incredibly complex. It is, so far, for example, I think I would rather use myself as a proper show of this. I might have a little bit of an addiction with nicotine, maybe, and the reality is nobody really cares if in 50 fucking years it is going to kill me. I'm not going to be there, and I am not going to even be conscious at that moment if I really am that preoccupied or not of getting cancer. You know? The reality is, there are things probably more dangerous than in 50 years, the probability of something dangerous happening to you. We can, we have such fragile lives that in the span of a whole day, you might be gone. In the span of a minute, you might die. How is it that you can preoccupy or project so much into the future to say that, wow, now I am sacrificing these next 50 years and this is going to kill me. So I need to stop. Almost nobody really has projected that far into the future. Who can certainly say that they have stopped in life and thought about every single one of those problems that they have, and they have observed or tried to devise a plan in which they can certainly know what is going to be of them in the next 50 years. It doesn't naturally happen for anybody like that. And it doesn't naturally happen that we even think about such a thing as a possibility. So obviously, you're not going to have the chance of changing your habits that way because you're appealing to a common sense that doesn't exist. Yeah, it might kill me in 50 years, and what? I might die tomorrow. I don't even get to know that. I sometimes I just want a little bit of pleasure, you know? I might, as an individual, not have the capacity of fulfilling every single other step to get pleasure only out of my life. So, naturally, I do end up going towards those tools that can, in some way or another, give me that amount of help, you know? But now, once again, if you can find reasons that are good enough and strong enough for your problems, and if you can be sure about what you're talking about, because even in nicotine, you have something that is very interesting, and that is while in some cases or in some areas of the brain, nicotine does provide the neurons themselves with a, pro- a new protecting layer, avoiding oxidation, therefore avoiding the process of losing your brain cells on other areas. It does happen that you, by consuming nicotine, reduce the capacities of your brain of properly functioning and properly getting to realize those activities that you so much need, being one of the most impactful things how nicotine can in, create in you different types of motor problems in the long run. Because once again, the function or one of the many functions that it has ends up affecting directly how the brain works. Now, if that explanation makes still no sense for you, you can't ever take action and you can't ever believe that it might be beneficial for you. I mean, how will you even see it as something worth it? And how will you even try to sense it as something useful? But the reality is, if after trying to see it as such, if after trying to see each and all the reasons that exist behind the damages created by such an addiction, I guess, not just a habit, but also an addiction, you find those reasons that can properly propel you towards avoiding the damages and avoiding the consequences of those things to a certain extent. Once again, you already know that they are doing damage to you. You can fully mobilize yourselves towards avoiding those problems. And the main problem here is it takes quite a lot of responsibility because by default you have to start accepting that there might have be a problem, you know? And by default, you might have to believe that also you somehow have the capacity of fixing what is happening to you, even if in some way or another you are no different than anybody's than anybody else in this whole world. So maybe the problem that you possess is somehow unavoidable, but this goes into something quite different, but at the same time fully related, and that is I I have yet not found a way to show how much of a capacity we hold inside of ourselves towards almost any single thing that we desire to do. And I have been at this point I am willing to accept it. I have been going crazy trying to find a proper way to explain such a concept to anybody else. And I guess it doesn't simply happen that I want to express it to the rest of the world. I want to fully get it to myself at the very, very, very least, because it seems surprisingly amazing how many things you can achieve if you were to propose and commit to all of those different objectives that you set up as a human being. And the problem is, once again, how much of a responsibility we are taking when it comes to showing others where is it that their capacities start and finish. How is it that somebody can, by their own capacities, do all of the things that they wish to, or never in their whole life commit their time towards anything that was minimally worth it in their own words? This because this isn't about slandering anyone. This is about those people who get to live to their 80s and say, you know what, I have 80 years. I believe I have done nothing of usefulness for this world. And that is when it gets surprising because somehow we have failed a human and we have not given them the capacity of believing that they were in any way capable of doing something good. And we have not in any amount of I don't know. Yeah. I don't know. Uh, we haven't given people like you, I guess, sadly, those tools enough or properly. Or I don't even know if we have even tried. That is the problem. Sometimes I the more you start to realize how few you need to do and how little sometimes you need to start acting to become capable of achieving something. That is when you start to see those things. But the problem is we get paralyzed too easily and we don't deal we don't think that we deserve to start with what we desire so much. And I think it is I want to take a little bit of that load off of what I said before. I think almost everybody at some point or another has to confront that reality of I might be worthless as a human being. I don't think I have contributed in any single way. And once you are capable of seeing that, with the consideration of, but I am still here and I can still adapt myself, learn, and take use of all of those notions, tools, ideas left behind by whoever came before me, that tried to go for something minimally similar to what I am aspiring to, now I can say that this is in some way or another good, or that I might be, because that is also a problem. I might be completely alone in this fight. I might be with nobody standing next to me, whatever it is that I am aspiring to do. But the reality is, even if that is true, I can still move forward because I can by myself envision which actions might benefit my goal and which type of measures should I try to take so that I get to find myself enjoying all of those things that we want to go for. And yeah, I mean, I don't think that is wrong what you say. We are certainly all alone in the end. I mean, one of the main concepts that everybody has also to deal with is how, even if right now we may not be completely alone, we are going to die alone because there is nothing lonelier, I believe, than just the act itself of, I believe, dying. After all, you can't ever go through anybody else, and you can't, in any other way, consume or be part of a death that anybody is going through. Because, yet again, that is a completely individual act and that is a completely individual thing. So, yeah, death is probably the loneliest time that you're going to be in your life. But even if that is not the only one, the rest of the time, you have the capacity, almost 99% of the time, of choosing what you're going to do with your life. And I will pretty much ensure you that what you go through can be, in some way or another, modified towards your desires and your objectives and your goals. That being alone stops meaning something negative. Because, yet again, what you get to experience in those times and what you get to learn, those opportunities, is so much more useful for you. And once again, for those objectives that you decided to set up for yourself, that you learn to appreciate how useful it was to be alone. Because sometimes, something incredibly weird that we also have as a society, I think it is this incredibly big amount of people who needs to be constantly together with someone else, who needs to be spending their time next to others just for the sake of, I guess, not being alone. They need to always spend their time with others and they need to be always doing their best, um, trying to not in some way or another deal probably with what they think and what they have in their minds. That, yet again, surprisingly, we have a whole almost generation of people who can't live with their own ideas, with their own desires, with their own notions, with whatever it is that they hold inside of themselves. And we somehow think about it as something good, that you need to always be next to others and that you need to always spend your time talking with somebody else, when once again the reality is quite the opposite. You need to focus and you need to find what can be good for your own self and what you can do to give back. I well, I think that is also true that you can later on the process realize what is it that you can do to give back to this whole world. What was the gift of your own existence in a in an even bigger way than what you had ever received out of being alive. The problem is to do so is to go through the process beforehand of learning about your existence as something so much more capable of achieving things than what you might right now even realize. Because if it was so easy, you will already be doing so. When indeed the reality is that on the complete opposite, you find no utility for what you might try to go for. So you end up distracting yourself with shorter, more self centered things that end up giving you those tiny rewards that feel so great because you lack, once again, the ability to see yourself as somebody who is, in some degree or another, good enough to deal with whatever it is that you wanted to deal with. And I guess I don't know, I don't know. I I have still to find, once again, that is what I was trying to say at first, a way to fully express anything like that. And I don't know. I believe it takes time. So far, that is what I can say. After having heard so many people, after having tried so many ways to express this same idea, I have yet not found, uh, being pretty basic, a one liner to deal with such a problem. I have not received the knowledge that might give me that tool so far. I have not I have not heard anybody who can profoundly say, yeah, you're worth it to such a degree that they can ensure whoever it is that they hear it, that they can truly achieve not just their dreams, but those dreams that they also create by being part of this world for the world itself. So yeah, I am trying to work on that still. I haven't. Yeah, I started with accepting that. Yeah, I have been losing a little bit of my sleep, but I mean, somebody has to pursue something quite impossible to enjoy being alive. I believe so, and that is my one aspiration so far. That is probably one of the main aspirations that might permeate my whole existence so far, and we will see how it goes. I I don't know yet. I can only say, I can only ensure that there are almost infinite ways to persuade yourself of starting on those dreams and wishes that you possess. But even if they exist, what doesn't exist still is a completely functional solution for every single one. And there is not a solution that is going to work for everyone. One single solution that will give everyone the hope that they need. And I believe it is quite good at the very least that you get to decide and you get to realize all of those things by yourself because you wanted to see if you had some type of value. And I don't know. I guess, sure, different answers for everyone. If I get what you mean, I guess, yeah, certainly. Different answers are the best fit so far. Because by doing that and by getting to know you yourself, what suffices enough your life story, that is when you get to decide now that it is going to be worth it going for whatever it is that you wanted to go for. But the problem is, in the way of doing so, if you can really accept that you want to do such a thing, or if you really want to commit to such a lengthy process, because I think, once again, what I feel so far is the final realization is not only you can feel good by existing and you yourself can have gratification created from this world, but you can also even more obtain all of those gifts and obtain all of those benefits while trying to give back to the world. But the problem is, sometimes we fail people to the degree to which they really think that there is nothing worth saving. Be it in the world, be it in the society itself as a whole construct, be it on their communities. And I guess that is when we have gotten in our hands an incredibly complex problem. Because it is true that sometimes people do bad things, but if just because of an error you decided to abandon all your efforts on the actions that you decided to commit yourself and the goals that you set up for your own life, if you did the same thing just because you made one or two errors along the way, I don't think almost anyone will get to be here. Yet somehow, when it comes to things outside of our own life, or sorry, outside of our own enjoyment, we really believe that there is no chance of redeeming anything, and there is no chance of seeing the worthiness of trying, not just to save it. The fact talks about saving. We are talking about trying to minimally give something useful to what allows your existence, because you could have been pretty easily killed and you could have disappeared a lot of years ago, yet we are still standing here, and yet we are somehow capable of hearing whatever some fucking crazy guy in the internet decides to say, or whatever we ourselves as individuals try to think about, because that is also an amazing thing that you can rest and spend your time with all of your own ideas without worrying about whatever else it is that happens on the rest of the world, that you can spend your time however you want if you can pay for your desires the price that they ask you to pay, and that you get to enjoy whatever it is that you have decided was worth of enjoying, despite, once again, all of the problems that happen. But somehow, we have decided that the main narrative, the one that should reign over everybody's lives, is, oh no, we have it so hard, we have it so incredibly troublesome. We cannot deal with whatever it is that we are trying to go for. fuck are we talking about when we say that? We are so much farther than almost anybody when it comes to development of different tools. We have created whole technologies to suffice all of our needs almost. We have become capable of developing so many amazing, once again, innovations that we are even seeing the problems that exist behind them now, that they have become so deeply embedded in our own existence. And we dare to say that somehow what exists inside of us isn't really worth it, or that what we can try to go for is in no way capable of being useful for others, when all of this has always has been motivated by one single person and by the will of one single individual who decided to believe that what they had to offer was worth it. And somehow we shun those who come here and say those exact same things nowadays. And I don't really see any of those actions as a proper way or as a proper minimal course of understanding to neglect that we possess a capacity and that we possess a skill when it comes to creating, imagining and creating whatever it is that we have in our minds and giving it such a shape that everyone else can fully execute their usefulness in life without us having to worry anymore about the meaning of anything else. But I don't know. I think sometimes I want to lie. Sometimes I ask questions that are too complicated. I accept it, and I don't know. I think it's it's quite painful to realize that we lack enough knowledge to to deal with this one question today. And also, sorry with that. Um, I don't know. I don't know, man. It becomes painful sometimes, I guess, to realize how incapable you are of acting. But at the same time, I guess going back to what I was literally talking about, when you get to see your limitations, you also get to see that whole abyss that is the sea of possibilities that opens up for you when it comes to making yourself more capable of dealing with whatever it is that we can't so far comprehend or so far answer. Because even here, something stupidly hard as what we're trying to solve as wow, is there any way to give motivation to every single human being? Is it possible to do so? I don't know, but we might try to go for it, and we might see, we might try to reason and to find a proper response that suffices out of our desires when it comes to deal with this question itself. And we don't know if what we are going to find is going to be a definite answer. We don't know so far, even if there is only one answer or not. And we don't even know how much it will take out of our lives. But just because we can decide that it is worth it, and just because we can commit to something so useful and something that, once again, I think if it is good for you and if it is useful for your own life in a real sense, not in a very vain sense of, wow, I can see how good it will be for everybody to shut up. No, 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 no. We're talking about a real usefulness here. We are talking about finding out how much you can really enjoy doing certain things. Finding out how much you really possess a capacity over moving whole nations with your words. Yet somehow we decide to believe that we, even if we are still subjects of the same condition as everyone else, that is, the one of being humans, we don't deserve to achieve the same amount of things as those who came before us. And somehow we have created, I guess, that is where it gets annoying. We have created different systems that indirectly challenge you and propose to you that you are not going to be capable of dealing with whatever it is that you're trying to deal with. Somehow we have created equations that now measure how much you will be capable of learning or not, how much you will be capable of absorbing in terms of knowledge or not, how much you will sometimes we're having we're even trying to create nowadays a proper measurement for how much somebody might live or not. And we try to say that somehow we have a worst time, we have an easy time. What is this complete craziness and complete nonsense of this demotivating everyone with so many useless things? Once again, going back to it, we are still humans and we can aim so much higher than just the stars, and we have decided to remain here, somehow being destroyed by what somebody who doesn't even realize what we already completed in our own lives says that, wow, now this one particular measurement states that you won't be capable of getting into certain positions because this one measurement tells me that you, as an individual, don't have the capacities of dealing with the problems that arise in those positions in life, so you should never try to apply for those places when almost everything is based on experience and almost everything is based on learning and committing your life to it and developing as many ways and different pathways to the same solution as possible because you never know when is it that you are going or you might need something minimally different. But I don't know. I guess the reality is always quite abstract when it comes to dealing with all of these problems. And even if we tried to remain sane in all of these notions, you have to lose a little bit of sanity because I believe if we are calling being sane the quality of understanding that somebody is telling you that something is dangerous and you following once again the common sense, you get to lose a little bit of your sanity for the sake of realizing your capacities as an individual. Because it is not by just committing to your goals that you achieve those positions. It is by completely taking your hands the capacities born out of almost any dream that you possess and never stopping to look at whatever it is that somebody says, that you now get to confidently state, well, you know what I have been going for has become as worth it as it gets, and now I can sleep well because I do know and I do realize I can achieve success. And I, I guess, I guess it is too complicated, man. I once again have not yet found a proper solution for this, so we are just going around the same problem, doing loops around what we might have already discussed in other occasions. But yeah, what I want to do is I want to drink something because my throat is itching incredibly hard. So yeah, let me do that. Give me a second. But yeah, I don't know. I I guess it gets quite hard sometimes to see any type of usefulness of your actions, any type of utility on the actions that you can achieve by committing. And I don't know. I had come to the realization that somehow every single thing can be good. And I don't know. I think I think life is good. Life is quite nice. We can we can deal with so many things. We can solve so many problems. And we can get to know so much about so many different things that as individuals we stand in a completely revolutionized field of knowledge compared to where is it that we were years ago. And now the enjoyment born out of living is paralleled. And I don't know, I wish to hope and I try to see it as probably we can be even better than before and we can have even less problems than before in the future and we can deal with even more questions in the future. But even if somehow nothing were to change, we're already in a state of enjoyment and we're already doing good. It doesn't mean that there is nothing worth it. It doesn't mean that there is nothing good to try and go for in life. There are there are a lot of things that are completely worth it. There are a lot of things that have their own function, you know. And I guess that is also, I don't know, I have been thinking about this, and I don't know if I really want to talk about it, but at the very same time, I know I need to get it out somewhere, and that is sometimes we forget how hard it is to deal, or how hard it was to be certain situations, and we forget to see how horrible it was to see ourselves dealing with any of those problems because the reality is, we can't really blame ourselves. The human condition is the one of forgetfulness. We go from one event to the other, believing that almost everything is completely new. We can't recognize patterns as easily because reasoning makes you somehow overanalyze all of the situations in a basis of something might have changed now. So I might have found something useful holding this belief of maybe what I am going to see or what I'm going to find will give me some sense, some way, some reward compared to what I did before, even if I am literally doing the exact same problems, going through the exact same negative loops that I went before. We don't get to recognize and we don't get to see how others are also dealing with those same problems. And that is where it becomes problematic. We don't get to see even proper reasons as to why we might try to help those who are now dealing with whatever problem it is that resembles the ones we went through before. And even if it doesn't really stop anybody, just to realize, just to recognize that now we are in a place of somewhat more notions. We have yet to deal with the problems that others have for the sake of avoiding the pain that we knew was bad, that nobody should have go through once again. Not because there are pains that are worth going through. I am not even trying to say something like that, because that is not the question at hand, and that is not the point at hand. Talking about giving a hand to those who can receive them and liberating them from the pain that is born out of those situations in which we don't get to live properly and we don't get to enjoy life once again. And I, I had I had to deal with something that almost destroyed me, and I don't. I would love to know that I have the capacity of talking about it, but the reality is, I know that if I try to mention it properly, the emotions might get me. But sadly, we sometimes lack the skill to even see why it is worth it to be useful for others also. Because it is not about not having to go through the same pain, or even if we can't ever go through the pain of others, give them the chance of not going through it. It is about, once again, once you learn about the pain that exists in this world, you start to lose capacities and you start to be less capable of dealing with whatever it is that you wanted to do, and you stop reaching for those goals that you were aiming for before. Not because, once again, you're somehow useless or you're somehow not capable of achieving them. It is just because you have realized and you have observed that maybe there might be more pain in the future. So, to forget how something like that feels and to let go of the notion of nobody should go through this and to let others experience those same amount of hardship on their lives has become certainly one, I wouldn't say, if not the biggest, But one of the biggest problems on Earth, I believe, and I don't know, I think I always try to remain positive and I always try to say we might have the capacity of solving X or Y or whatever it is that you are dealing with. After all, why not try to see it as such? You can always make the counter argument and you can always say, but such is the human nature that we can't in any way deal with whatever problem it is that arises in the future or in the present or whatever. We can only get to enjoy dealing or being in all of those places in which we become somehow worth by executing always the same action. No, no, no. We have forgotten and we have lost a lot of knowledge involved in trying to guide what is a human trying to minimally live a good life. We have almost taken for granted that we know how to do such things, when in reality we have so many problems talking about such ideas that our definitions of a good life are not even the same one. When one says a good life, they can picture living in a beach. Others can picture being capable of dealing with all of their problems. Other, others picture giving their family all that they need for. And all of those things might be part of just the whole cloud of concepts that lives inside of having a good life. Yet, we haven't really gotten to a place or to a point of saying, okay, you want to have a good life, or you want to say that you have a good life. If all of these conditions are met, get access to such words. If not, you have lost the privilege to do such a thing. I don't know, I think it is weird. We are standing in a place in which a lot of things have gone out of hand, and we are standing in a place in which almost almost no notion becomes useful. Almost no desire has a root embedded in positive and not just positive as if we somehow have lost the capacity of being positive, but rather not positive because we really said, you know what, this one thing that we hold inside of us is somehow not good and it's somehow not beneficial for anybody who's here. And even if we are getting to satisfy desires, the next one keeps appearing, and the next one after that, and the whole incredibly and complex array of those problems all keep expanding. And it is true, we we are we are in a weak place, I believe so. We I have heard enough times about similar things, and they always say you can smell it here when a revolution is coming. I don't see it as a revolution. I don't think about it in political terms. You distract yourself too much with terms of such lengths. You go over too much whatever it is that you have been trying to say. Such obfuscations of language. We are just going to deal with the problems that we have right now, and we are going to solve a lot of them. we're going to achieve success in a lot of areas in which we have not been getting anywhere. And this has become nice. And this has become, once again, good. But we negate any of this as if it was really not worth it. And I don't know. I think hope has been lost too much. And we have been having a problem. I mean, I always hear, I don't know, I mean, it becomes painful almost when you hear somebody say, we have a crisis coming towards us. That is, whichever kind of crisis, be it economical, be it mental crisis, be it societal crisis. It might be true, okay? Let's suppose that it is true. But the reality is, how much are we trying to solve those crises? How much are we, as individuals, putting our tiny grain of sand to not be so bad, to not be so swept by such problems? How much is it that we are doing from our own place instead of seeing it coming and not doing anything? Because it might be true. Let's suppose that something like that is true. But which steps are we fulfilling in those terms? Where is it that we are taking action? Where is it that we are getting to be part of such plans? I don't know. We believe that somehow we can't change things, or we believe that we can't we can make anything that we want to work. And yet again, it goes back to sometimes it's you just need to start and you just need to see for yourself. And maybe in the process of doing it, you will realize it wasn't that complicated and it wasn't that impossible to deal with. And you did properly dispose of all of those things. Life is less of a problem. It becomes more of an enjoyment. And I don't know, because it feels bad when you sometimes when you realize how good you have it, you go back in your mental ideas and you see, can one really say that it is good to be so immersed in happiness? How beautiful we have it to be here, and how nice it is to be dealing with whatever it is that we're talking about right now. We are not dealing with hunger, we're not dealing with a sickness, we are not dying actively, we're not bleeding out, we're not having to worry about what is it that we to, tonight to survive. We are not worried about dreaming and destruction of our home. We are fine. That is when it gets sad. That is when you forget that you don't have that many problems counting you. And you somehow tell yourself that things are not so great and that you don't have a chance at dealing with whatever it is that happens to you. And once again, that's true sometimes. You failed. Everyone fucking fails. But it's not about failing. without being capable of saying, yeah, I can advance time. And even with advanced time, I was capable of moving forward, and I was capable of going towards somewhere else. And I did. I dealt with whatever it is that existed in my life, and I disposed of my current situation, all the problems that were keeping me from reaching my true potential. And I had come to the realization that I might be infinitely more capable of dealing with whatever it is that happens rather than neglecting or saying, no, the next time I will might have a little bit more of luck. This isn't about fucking luck. Nothing almost is about luck. If you somehow get that you need to work for things and that it will be hard and that they will not be so good almost never, who is going to do it for you? Who is going to show you that it will be all worth it? I don't know. It's crazy. Yet again, it is crazy. I. Yeah, yeah. I think it is like that. Um, I believe that the price is also going to be so much more worth it than what we can think about right now. I have, after having heard so many people, and after having been in so many situations, I can say confidently, even if it was hard, and even if it was painful or whatever, it was every single one of those experiences useful. And it was more than meaningful for me. And even if for others it doesn't mean shit, I don't need to hear what others think or what others say. I know that I am having a good time, and I know that all of this will get somewhere. But life, life is, life is precious. We're we're moving forward. That is to say something that even if it is hard, it is precious. We're getting to move forward. So that is more than worth it, more than beneficial for us. But I guess yet again, the problem is not how much or how little we can see it as worth, but rather how much we can keep remembering that that is reality, never distracting ourselves from such a thing. And I don't know. I believe we will get to deal with almost anything that arises in our lives when we comprehend many of the problems that do occur throughout our own existence. But until that happens, we are going to be almost stuck here, going through the same problems, saying the exact same things, because nothing really changes that much. Nothing really means that much here. Where the infinite amount of problems will always be waiting for us to be solved, and where the infinite amount of actions will always be waiting for us to take them. No way. I think it is quite hard. The world itself is incredibly complex and hard and weird. I, I don't know if at this point I can really say I even wish it wasn't that weird. I just wish It was more understandable, I guess, but at the same time, I was I was also learning about this, and it is quite surprising how much you can enjoy learning, how much you can enjoy becoming part of something, not because just by doing so you believe that something was good, but rather because by doing such a thing you get to develop an even bigger picture, and by developing your language you get to talk better, but you also get to see more things for what they really are. And by describing more, you get to be less occupied with the bad emotions and with the bad moments that do happen. But all of those things really matter if and only if the process of doing so counts first and be, yeah, the first place. Accept that it will be hard. I think we have almost intoxicated ourselves with the desire of making everything easy and making everything an immediate reaction. I don't really, I don't really to see that as such a thing. Sometimes I wish it was less annoying. I, I always wanted to be and to meet people who also said the same things. On lunch, I just, I, yeah. Give me a second. I, I, Solo por si acaso, creo que está claro. Estamos en esto es todo en inglés. Eh, pero buenas. Pero que ande bien, mi pana. Acá andamos. Hace una banda que no te veo, Loncho. Pero buenas. Or hello. Also, let me go. I think, yeah, I need some water. But yeah, I, I think I was around here saying that sometimes, at the very least, I myself try to see it as you can meet people because that is what I try to say myself. I believe I wanted to meet people who has the capacity of seeing things as what they really are and getting to be with people who also wants to discuss such things. And I recognize that the problem is once again believing you also have quite the necessity of being with such people, when in reality, more often than not, you just need to take time out of your own life to analyze things properly and to realize if they really are a problem or not. And we're not really dealing that negatively with any concept that comes our way when it comes to life. Yeah, to living itself. It is true that life is quite complex and we have a lot of things to deal with, but I don't know. We forget also once again how much we can we can't do things. And I can't avoid what I always think. Sometimes we are letting too many things go just because we had one bad day, or we had one bad idea, or we decided to hear the wrong bells in terms of believing whatever it is that they were trying to talk about. because we over appreciate whatever it is that others say or others try to mention or others try to go about. And we don't get to really see any of that as what it really is. We don't get to see life as an adventure. We believe that we are imprisoned. We believe that we have a problem or that we don't deserve to be here. The reality is, there is nothing more amazing than doing what you find useful. There is nothing more great than using your time on what you decide to be as minimally good, but losing the desire doing such a thing because of the problems and believing that the problems will never stop coming, or that even if they do never stop coming, you will never have the capacity of dealing with them. That's when it becomes problematic, man. It is quite horrible to realize, man. Why will you hold yourself back so much? It is quite. I always believe it as depressing. Why would you say that you have somehow become less just because of one problem or one bad instance of your life? It is. It doesn't need to be so negative. It doesn't need to be so possible to deal with. Not everything is incredibly out of your hands, as we decided to believe that it is. Not everything is even more in any way similar to what we believe is the main problem. Sometimes it just takes, let's say, a little bit of will to serve it as minimally good and a little bit of usefulness to see it as minimally great. But I don't know. I have met too many people and I have met too many souls, and all of them, some way or another, deal with the problem of maybe I am not worth it, and I don't get to really tell them or to tell anyone for this matter how little it really matters itself what you do or do not believe in terms of, wow, am I going to be capable of dealing it with Y or X? Or just fucking doing it, man. Life is so. This once again why I think life is so short. If we keep only worrying, it won't get better, man. It won't solve anything at all. But I as I said, I always try to think about it and I always try to see the solutions or whatever. But people make it incredibly hard. People, they always seem to be striving towards disproving whatever it is that you try to go on. Somehow now, everybody says, wow, man, I stopped believing in you, or I was more sure that you were become, yeah, that you were capable of becoming even greater. And sometimes we don't even think about what we say. And we say shit that hurts a lot to others. And we are dispensers of words that carve incredibly deep and damaging scars on those who we call friends and who also call ourselves friends. And I don't know, these are more complex the more you analyze it. It is it is the constant life of the human who is sedated in so many different ways. Now you believe that you are not capable of dealing with your problems. Now you believe that you are not capable of achieving greatness. Now you believe that you are not good, or that you are not worth it, or that you are not this and that you will never amount to anything, that you will not get to solve what is your day-to-day life. And life is not about only negative things. Life doesn't need to be only about negative things. It never needs to be just about the problems. We have a lot more to say. We have a lot more to go for than just what is in front of us and what is just the negative aspect of it. And even more, we have already an incredibly stupid tendency towards believing what is said to us sometimes. Who the fuck cares if you have a tendency towards seeing life as something negative? Just try to focus on what is good. Maybe you have it. Maybe you fucking don't. Why will you say, oh wow, you know what? I can deal with my problems because I just realize I have a tendency towards seeing everything badly. I have a tendency towards seeing everything that might happen to me in a bad light, and I might not be capable of getting myself out of those places born out of reasoning in which I see myself as somebody who is not worth of the effort which I might try to put towards anything. That is not the fucking solution here. If you get yourself destroyed by what somebody else said that might happen to you, instead of trying to see if you can somehow be the one who disproves such a shit, who disproves, wow, yeah, life is so hard and so bad for everyone who is alive. Maybe not. Maybe it is not impossible to be alive. Maybe it is not a constant struggle. Maybe you can have a great time. Maybe you can also share a great time with others. And maybe you can share it not only with others, but also with whoever is going to come after you. And you can also ensure that you are going to be happy. Maybe, fucking maybe, but yet he decided that what was better than doing so was, okay, this one guy that I didn't even fucking know says, wow, you have a tendency towards being negative, even if you don't even know it. You have a tendency towards doing bad things, even if you don't know it. So now that is your reality. And now, once you have heard this knowledge, you will also abide to this rule instead of trying to disprove it. Because you don't see it in yourself the capacity of doing such a thing. And also, not only you, but everyone else in society justifies their own existence behind such a sad excuse, and now everybody's, everyone is dealing with one or another similar kind of problem just because somebody said, you know what, all of these things have been really getting me complicated or incredibly annoyed, whatever, I don't know. It becomes more and more entangled the more you dig. Yet at the same time, it doesn't show in any way whatsoever that there is nothing worth going for, or that you can somehow say, yeah, you know what, this wasn't in any display of itself an action good enough to try and go for. You don't possess the capacity of getting to such a place, or you don't possess the ability of solving such a problem. Who even cares, man? Who even fucking cares? Why do you even decide to care so much? Why? Where did it die inside of you, that flame of, I want to see for myself if I can reach such heights. I want to see for my own life if I can deal with such problems. I don't want to live in discomfort or in the unknown reality of I might have been great. Who fucking cares if human nature is one of failing? Where is it that you tried so hard that you fail and you realize by yourself that you had no skill and that you have no capacity of doing and dealing with the problems that you wanted to deal with. It might be true that you have problems. It might be true that you have limits. But have you yourself found them or not? That is what matters here. That is what always should matter. Not what somebody else in the other fucking end of the globe says that might happen to you if you try hard enough. Who fucking cares about such things? But I don't know. We have a predilection towards whatever is a negative message. We have a desire to hear only what negatively influences our own existence. We believe that what we should do is hear the words coming out of the mouths of those who now hold the supreme knowledge of science, where we get to know now that unavoidably, every single human being has a tendency towards stealing or towards doing bad things. Who cares? Why is it you decide so many things be dictated without you influencing on anything of that? Why would you forget how much you already did in your life and how much you were capable of doing without taking anything of those ideas into consideration? Who fucking cares, man? Why would you depreciate yourself in such a degree that now you see your own existence as something not worth it? Where? Why? Since when is this the point of utility? Or why was it that we decided to say, well, we don't have to keep going anymore further because everything is done? Why? Why would you say that? Why would you not see your usefulness? Why would you believe that you're not capable of dealing with problems and that you're capable of something amazing? Since when? Who told you that you amount to nothing and that you will get to be no one? Who was it that fucking said, you know what? You can achieve everything that you wish for. And I don't know. I think it is pain. And it is horrible to realize that you have left behind what was hope and what was a driving factor for you. But if your reality was less dark, maybe you will be having a better life. And if you were capable of dealing with all of the problems that you possess and all of the negative things that happen to you, maybe you will see for yourself that you got to live in places of great enjoyment. Maybe. But the problem is, once again, almost nobody is willing to take such a risk, and almost nobody is willing to do such things. Why? Because reality is one of them are not. What we do is only devise ourselves, and almost no other person gets to enjoy what we are doing, what we are going for. But I don't know. I don't know. I I don't know. Let me let me drink water. I can start to feel kind of throat, I guess. So I don't know. We are not still in the limit, but we are kind of approaching it, I guess. We will see how much I can go. That is the reality. We will see how much I can deal with before it finally gives up once again. I, I guess I am not still not healed properly. I, it seems to be quite problematic, if I have to be real. It seems to be quite annoying. But well, anyways, besides the point, I think, once again, going back to it, we can do great things. And it all starts with believing. It all starts with probably the main step, the first step, basically, always. That is imagining what you wanted to do and seeing in your mind what is it that you wanted to go for. Because then, and only then, it is that you can say it wasn't some way or another good. And it is then and only then that you can say or believe, you know what, you might be capable of dealing with such a problem or getting to such a place. But it doesn't happen to anybody, and it doesn't happen to everybody. That you can imagine as much as you want something, you can ambition it as much as you want. And if what you're ambitioning becomes sufficiently clear enough, you can start to create a plan. And if your plan seems reasonable enough or easy enough to start to execute, you can then take action. The problem is sometimes we believe we need validation from every single one who lives this world for us to keep going with our plan. We all need to commit to what we're going for. Whatever somebody else says or whatever somebody else tries to go for isn't really fucking part of the plan or is in any way meaningful for us. What is important is achieving what we went for. And if what we desired for was based in the opinion of others, maybe there was a problem. Maybe we could wish for something that can be obtained without having to deal with so many people, without the whole world interfering in our desires. It is stupid to stop after failing once, but it is even crazier to think that you can imagine something changing the whole world, involving the whole world. You can only change what you can from your place without preoccupying about every single human soul. It is not a burden that any single human can take. Why will it be different for anybody? And what do you believe that can change for you? But the reality is, if you somehow say that you are going to be capable of dealing with it, you're only going to get crushed because reality is such, and because reality is not made for those who dream high enough. It is for those who can execute properly, reasonable enough plans. So, if you can come up with a proper plan, and if you can develop a proper plan, and you can take action properly and move towards those goals that you set up in time, that is when it becomes useful. And that is when it becomes minimally good. But if you have never even tried to do such a thing, who's even going to fucking care? Who's going to fucking notice what are you trying to go for? Because once again, nobody is entitled to hearing what you said or what you tried to mention or what is it that you spend your time doing. And if you expected any type of recognition or if you expected any type of observation from whoever it is that you live with, you already failed in a certain way because the part that was important was not getting their eyes on you. The part that was important was getting to know that you achieved success by yourself, for yourself, and through yourself. But somehow it seems bad that we are aiming at selfish things now, even if once again our goals are completely innocent. It, it is kind of obvious that what I am talking about here is only dependent on ourselves and it doesn't involve damaging anybody else or anything like that. And if you tried to believe such a thing, You are twisting what is being talked about here to satisfy your desires and to satisfy your own narrative, which has nothing to do with what has been discussed whatsoever. But you can do so because, once again, that is the magicness of language, and you have realized that you can sometimes twist what is being talked about just to justify, once again, what you believe is a proper goal, what you believe is a better narrative, the one in which you live. But no, I, I don't know. I think, I think this is too much sometimes, and the reason behind all of this is because we don't really get to deal with all of the problems that exist in our lives. So sometimes we get quite overwhelmed by them. But I don't know. I believe life is not so problematic. And even if it was, the reality is it doesn't need to be so annoying, and it doesn't need to be so complicated. And I don't know. I think we are we are better than ever. We can deal with so many problems. We can get to so many places compared to before. Now we're fine. Now we're not lost in life, I guess. I don't know. Not all. I don't know. I really don't. What I know is my throat is giving up. I can already taste a little bit of blood in my mouth. So yeah, this is everything so far from me. I guess I haven't really healed properly, so I will have to leave. We will see what ends up being of us in the future. But for now, this is everything. I guess. Eh, yeah, that was quite crazy, man. I don't know. I think it is quite clear. I know. Please do not lose hope. Maybe like is all that magical for you. Maybe, but maybe you can also change that by starting to see where is it that you can start to take action, and where is it that you can start to make it work. It doesn't need to always be a problem or only an impossible to deal with task. It's it's not also bad, and it can get better, and it will get better if you work on it. But that is the hard part of this. You need to work on all of those things. So yeah, I don't know. I think this is all. So yeah, I guess as I said before, where I want to go later. I don't even know when I am going to be back. I don't even have I don't even have a proper I have I still need to heal. I I need to get my throat back, my voice back. I want it not to be not so much pain. This was lovely. I feel like I finally got out a little bit of what I was thinking about before, at the very least, so that is nice. But I can't go longer so far. But anyways, as always, it is a pleasure to be here. It's a wonderful experience to talk about whatever it is that we do. In this case, I guess the nature of the human life. I don't know, something like that. So yeah, uh, this has been everything. And well, I don't know. Wait, what? I what's going on here? Oh, I didn't even see this. This is, what the hell? I didn't even see this. Oh my man. Okay. I found it, I found it, I found it. I found it. What are we doing? What is it that we're reading? Why? Particular guy who is doing some special events. That is what's closing this white sad note of a stream. With a more cheerful idea, I guess. With a more positive mindset than whatever it is I was talking about. Also, I copied the wrong thing, didn't I? Yeah, I did so. Haha, not that. Ignore that. Ignore that. Hey, that was the other one I wanted to go with. But no, this is what we're going to. The angler, or rather, the angler, who is having his third anniversary stream celebration. But always thanks for it has been a good adventure. Please keep yourself safe, stay hopeful, and dream incredibly. Don't let anybody tell you that it's not worth it. Know that you can achieve good things and see for yourself how far can you get in life. But don't surrender to the love of whatever it is that you appreciate. Don't fucking surrender. But yeah, as always, overall, keep yourself safe. And whenever we can, we're getting here. And if we don't, at the very least, we enjoy whatever it is that happened now. But besides that, the main point is living. So yeah, thanks for all. Keep yourself safe. Until next one.